So now we've had it already this morning, and we're going to continue on a Monday motivational path this morning. We've got Catherine Constantinides in studio. She spent the better part of the past 4 years in the Saharawi refugee camps, amplifying the cry for self-determination and human rights in way beyond a troubled region. And she was recently awarded with honorary membership to the Saharawi National Commission for Human Rights for her efforts. And she joins Expresso this morning to share some of the meaning behind, I think, this recognition. I want to say we want to celebrate it, but in light of the conditions in that area, it's difficult to celebrate anything. But well done, Catherine, first of all.
Thank you.
Just for my brief understanding of this area, we are talking about a collection of refugee camps that have existed for decades now, established in the 70s and lived through decades of civil war in probably the most inhospitable part of the world. Can you just lay it bare for us? What are conditions like in those refugee camps from your first-hand experience?
You know, the conditions are so harsh. First, from a climatic perspective, you're in the middle of the Sahara Desert, so summers are extremely hot. I got back a couple of days ago and we were starting to hit 42 degrees on average during the day, and you then have evenings where it's a lot cooler. But it's a war-torn area. There is a humanitarian crisis in those very refugee camps. And as you have mentioned, there are generations of children that are growing up and becoming adults and having their own children, growing up in a refugee camp where they know nothing outside of this very space that they occupy.
Born there, raised a family there, and most of them will probably die in that space. Out of all of the things coming from the Miss Earth, and you've done amazing things with the Miss Earth pageant, so you deserve kudos for that as well, but many would have thought that the environmental issues would have pulled you. What drew you to this plight? And ultimately, what is the end game here? What is the goal?
Well, the goal ultimately is self-determination of the Saharawi people. It is the only goal. We have to make sure that leaders around the world rally around the table together to allow for a referendum to take place so that the Saharawi people get to choose their own future and they get to go home. A referendum and self-determination has to be the ultimate goal. And through the work that I've done, solidarity is very important for the Saharawi people. So no matter if they are in the refugee camp, in the occupied territory, because there are still a huge population of Sahrawis in the occupied territory, occupied illegally by Morocco. So there are so many of them, and ultimately there are many climate conditions that I address while I do my work there.
What's the magic component that we are missing here? How do we address 3 decades of an inability to be able to change the situation? Where do you think the answer really lies? Is it within the Moroccan government? Where is that answer, do you think?
It's so difficult to say because I've had the privilege of working at the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, and at that level you realize that a lack of political will is missing. And because there's a lack of political will, there are children that are growing up without access to safe, clean drinking water. They're living in conditions where they're living in unlivable land in the Sahara Desert. But we have to continue to fight because as South Africa went through its darkest history and period, we relied on international solidarity and people outside of our country highlighting the issue. So I'm trying to do the same along with other international activists, and we have to make sure that the voice of civil society is heard, ensuring that we continue to highlight and push that this issue must become an issue that's a priority on the UN agenda. It is the oldest withstanding issue on the UN agenda that has not been resolved.
I'm confounded as to why that has not happened, but equally so about how you've taken on this, what would seem like an insurmountable challenge, but you are doing it. And as South Africans, as anyone with the power of social media, we can have a voice. So I urge you, please join your voice to Catherine's. Thank you so much for joining us, and well done once again on just being recognized, but I think more importantly for continuing the work that you're doing in that area is absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. But it's important. I think social media is a powerful platform and people need to use it to share the story of the people of Western Sahara. There's a hashtag people can start to use from this Africa Day at Stand in the Sand, and this is an opportunity for ordinary citizens to take up the opportunity to stand with the Saharawi people who have been stuck in the sand for 45 years.
Take the initiative right now. very inspiring, and I think not just from being a powerful woman's perspective, but from what an ordinary South African can do with the platform that they are given. That is Monday motivation.